Hello lords and ladies, welcome back to Cartoon Hangout for a new Miraculous Ladybug review. Sorry for it being a little late, but I was tired yesterday and didn't feel like doing much of anything. That aside, let's get to the review. Episode 3 of the English dub, Stormy Weather, is the first episode we deserved. In fact, it's technically episode 1 of the original release of the show. As good as the other two episodes were, I felt the choice of villains were the weakest part. The villains aren't horrible, but Stormy Weather, to me, seems like the perfect first villain. I mean, compared to Bubbler's bubble powers, or Mr. Pigeon's pigeon-controlling powers, the ability to manipulate the weather puts her in the same category as Storm of X-Men fame. I do wonder what goes into the decision to air the episodes in a different order. In this episode, we see Marinette babysitting a little girl, Manon, and being talked into going to the park by Alia in order to watch Adrian's photo shoot. This has to have some of the funniest and cutest moments in the episode, involving Marinette and daydreaming about her future life with Adrian.
Then we'll get married, live happily ever after in a beautiful house, have 2 kids, no 3, and a dog. Maybe a cat. Nah, forget the cat. A hamster. I love hamsters.
On the flip side, this episode actually involved the most amount of flirting between Cat Noir and Ladybug.
Why, thanks, Ladybug, but I had it covered.
Huh? No time for your childish charm, Cat Noir.
That toothy grin is so corny, but hilarious. We also get a few more action sequences than I think we've gotten in the previous 2 episodes. Or at the very least, they're even better this time around. That's one of this show's highlights. While it does do comedy, and pretty well, it offsets it with plenty of great action scenes. I mean, this moment, coupled with the music playing, was fantastic.
Get out of here, you nasty bug.
Going back to the villain, Aurore Boreal, a not-so-subtle name, becomes Stormy Weather. Really cool villain, not so cool sounding name. Being the first episode originally, we don't actually hear Hawkmoth mention evilizing at all. In fact, Ladybug is the one who says that word. I've heard we'll eventually get origin episodes, so I'll just assume she's not the one who coined the phrase, and she actually heard it from Hawkmoth. Speaking of old Hawkmoth, he comes across more sinister in this episode than the other ones, despite still having a really odd smile. Hey, like father like son, I guess. As I said at the beginning of this review, this was an all-around stronger episode in my opinion than the first 2 were, and I'm perplexed why Nickelodeon decided against having it as the debut episode. Honestly, if you want to convince your friends to give Ladybug a shot, show them this episode. I think it does a better job of showing you what the show's all about than the Bubbler or Mr. Pigeon did. It offers up a better villain, and a lot of cute flirting scenes between the 2 protagonists, not to mention plenty of action and comedy. And, not to mention, Alia. While she's been in the previous 2 episodes, this episode really shows you that she's capable of handling herself in a crisis, despite not having any superpowers like Ladybug or Cat Noir. It's always fascinating seeing regular humans act heroic even around actual superheroes. Great character development there. And before we wrap up today's video, I have some more Miraculous Ladybug trivia for you. This time about the show's creator, James Astruc. I hope I pronounced that right. Did you know he also worked on such shows like Totally Spies, Witch, and Code Lyoko? Do you know how much I love those shows? Way too much to be healthy, lords and ladies. Way too much. Each of these shows is a vastly underrated gem. If you haven't had the chance, please go check out these shows. I'd love to hear back from you about what you thought of them. Also, this makes my comment on Miraculous Ladybug having a Totally Spies vibe all the more amazing. Anyway, that's been my review of Stormy Weather. If you want to tell me what you thought of the episode and whether you felt, like me, that it would have made a better first episode for the dub, let me know in the comments section below. Also, make sure to drop a like and consider subscribing for more Cartoon Hangout. Take care. Hello lords and ladies, welcome back to Cartoon Hangout, your place for all things cartoon, and today that means a new Miraculous Ladybug review, even if it is a day later than it's supposed to be. Turns out that episode 4 of the English dub, Timebreaker, actually is the 4th episode of the series, which is a first considering how Nickelodeon has been airing them out of order. Well, not really airing them out of order, just in a different order. So it's cool that we're back on track temporarily. Now, I brought up Alix in an early review, and this time she gets a ton of screen time, considering she's the villain of the episode, of course. I believe this is the first time that she's spoken within the series, and Lord, she's got a much deeper voice than I imagined she would.
It's pretty sweet, Dad, but I've already got a watch. Synced up to my smartphone.
That's probably meant to fit her personality as a tomboy, but it was still pretty jarring at first. As supervillains go, she's got an interesting, if not all that visually spectacular power. The ability to time travel. The catalyst that gets her akumatized? A very special watch her father gives her is broken by her friends, and she goes back in time to get it back. Now, I've raved on and on about this show's action scenes, as they've all been great up to this point, but for some reason, this episode has some disappointing ones. I'm going to chalk that up to Timebreaker's powers. Since her touching you makes you disappear from time and gives her energy in order to go back in time, the action scenes have to navigate around that fact. So we end up with scenes that are just a really dramatic game of tag. Although I do want to applaud the writers for not making Timebreaker very overpowered, as one could easily become with time-traveling powers. Instead of just being able to go back and forth through time, she has to absorb the energy of people to power her skates up for the journey.
And I'm gonna go back in time and save my watch, using all you punks to do it.
Go back in time? What did you do to Ken? Why is he fading?
I needed his energy.
While we're on the negatives, a few of the animations in this episode are somewhat bad or out of place. Take a look at the face Ladybug makes when her friend disappears. It's something of a dramatic, horrifying moment, and this is a face she makes? It comes off far goofier than I think the animators intended it to be. Other than the boring action scenes and the weird facial expressions in this episode, I'd say it's still a decent enough episode. It's obviously the weakest overall, but it's not so horrible that I'd give it a low rating, if I even gave ratings, which I do not. With the negatives out of the way, let's talk about what I enjoyed. Obviously, time travel will always be a very confusing subject to use in fiction, but this episode pretty much sidesteps most of it. The characters simply went back in time, and that's it. No talk of paradoxes or anything of the sort. We even get the moment I was looking forward to the most in this episode.
Unstoppable on the ground. So, what if they're not on the ground?
2 ladybugs? I'm in heaven.
Oh, Cat Noir, never change. It got even better when the 2 ladybugs teamed up with each other. It would have been cool seeing 2 Cat Noirs, but I guess the other one technically was out of time. Get it? It wasn't that funny of a time travel joke. And I think that's all I really wanted to say about this episode. It wasn't the best episode, and while it certainly was entertaining, it did have some glaring flaws in it. If you disagree, or agree, let me know down in the comments, as well as if I missed anything important that you would like to talk about. Thanks for watching, and take care.